Outer Orange.
I have a redemption. I have it right up here, actually. I have it right there. I know you guys can't see it, but there's a redemption over there, and I have to go do that redemption. So today we're going to be discussing Shadow Paladin Witches. It's the Fianna builds that originally had like the original support from like forever ago for one of the clan collections, and then they got more support on top of that. So I got pretty curious, and I was like, you know what, screw it. I want to buy the deck, so I got all the stuff. It's pretty cheap to build, actually. And I'm gonna be real with you, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. I'm completely clueless with this deck. I put some random crap in it, spawned some witches, try to, you know, tech in some cool stuff from VANGUARD, and just kind of roll with it. So we're just gonna roll with it too. But if you're interested in a pretty cheaper option, you know, this is definitely a pretty cheap deck. If you just don't want to play VANGUARD, if you just don't like men, specifically VANGUARD being the man, you know, you do you. But anyway, let's talk about the witches. There's our chica. Anyway, so this deck is gonna be revolved around this girl. This is Fianna. Fianna is her name, and pretty much the way she works is that she calls out like weird zeros, and then based off those zeros you get like extra drive checks and stuff like that. But here she is. So this is our main. What if you just like everyone equally? You know what, that's a valid idea. You can just go ahead just like everyone. So here we have so her main skill is you counterblast 1, retire 2 rearguards, search your hand or deck for the grade 2 witch and call it to a front row rearguard circle, and if you search your deck shelf for your deck, and that circle becomes a vanguard circle to end of turn. So essentially you can get extra drive checks this way, and then during your turn, all your vanguards get 5k power for each of your opponent's grade 0 rearguards. So pretty much the purpose of this deck is you essentially want to make your opponent call out zeros on their board, and then you get extra stuff for doing it. Now this deck originally was probably one of the weakest decks that's come out of a clan collection thing, but now it's got a little bit of an upgrade. It kind of makes it a little bit better, just like little changes, and we also got some promos and stuff like that. But let's go ahead and start to talk about the new card. So this right here is Etane. And Etane is actually the reason why I picked up this deck right here. So she has a couple skills. She says when your vanguard is attacked, you can actually retire 2 of your witch rearguards and choose one of your opponent's stood rearguards. Hey Yuki, what's up? You can choose one of your opponent's stood rearguards, and you can pretty much retire it. And which is cool because that way you can pretty much play Denial Griffin in the deck. And then she has another skill, pretty much says if your vanguard is a witch card, she can't be chosen, you can intercept with her, and she gets plus 5k power. So that's pretty cool. So essentially, if she's on a rearguard circle, you can have her here. People can't choose it, do anything with it, and then you can use it as guard value. So that's pretty cool. So she just has that little extra thing to her, and I believe even from hand she gets 5k power. Oh no, it's on rearguard circle only, so you can't use it from hand. But essentially, what you can do with this deck is you can kind of play a little bit of disruption. You kind of just like call a bunch of witches, hope your opponent doesn't know what the heck retiring is, and then you can use your own skills to retire to pop their stood rearguards. This is really good into decks like Grand Blue, which is the reason why I picked this up. So they have double skull dragons. You can actually pop a skull dragon, and if you happen to have two more rearguards on top of that, like 4 total, you can actually pop both dragons. You can only take 2 essentially, because they'll attack with 1, you pop the other, and then they'll recall 2 dragons. They'll attack with 1, you pop the other. So you're kind of just slowing down the game while also just constantly doing your thing. So that's this. And then last but not least, we have a little bit of this ride line here, and that is the Phantom Blaster Dragon. Now I originally thought about putting this in, that was kind of indifferent about it, but then actually Derp was like, hey, just throw it in anyway. So I was like, yeah, sure, because Derp has been testing this deck quite a lot, way more than I have actually, and he put in the ride line. So essentially you can have Bendy, the Dump Hood Dragon, I think his name is, and then you can have this card to essentially superior ride. So pretty much you run this as an extra way to get there, so you can pretty much get to a grade 3 faster on top of getting extra force markers, and it'll make this turn a little bit better. So essentially that's just kind of like the goal of it. You don't really use the secondary skill, which is like the one where you like retire stuff and get the crit and all this extra stuff. You don't really use it for that, but you do use it for the skill of just constantly just pretty much riding up really fast. But that is our 3s. I forgot to talk about my decks, my deck box. This is my deck box. I'm using the Persona deck box. I don't know why I'm using this one in particular, but I am. And these sleeves, a lot of people tend to ask me about these sleeves a lot, but because I have different variations from the same artist. But these are, I get these on Amazon. There's an artist out there that just makes these random really cool sleeves, and I always really enjoy them. I originally had these on my golds. Actually, these sleeves are so old. I think I've had them for like 3 years now. But yeah, they're really nice. There's a bunch on Amazon, so I've been using them. But anyway, that's those. And then let's go to our 2s. I didn't realize how little 2s I have, but you know what? We're just going to roll with it. So for 2s, we have, of course, our girl, Witch of the Reality, Femi. So this is pretty much the card that you call out off of her skill. So essentially what you do is you call her out, she gets to become a Vanguard, and then you can also get some zeros out. If I'm mistaken, let me read her just to be sure. You Soul Blast and your opponent chooses 2 grade zeros from their drop zone and calls them to your circle if with grade 1 or greater units. Okay, so you can kind of retire their board by calling over stuff, and then she also gets an extra drive for doing that. And oh my gosh, something talked on my side. Go away. Go away. There we go. Fun fact, her name is French for woman. Oh, is it really? Oh, so it's just Witch of Reality Woman. That's actually pretty funny. I had no idea. That's pretty cool. Thank you. Thank you for the Sim over here blessing us with fun facts of the day. So that's actually, so her name is just straight up woman. So in case you need some woman in your life, you know, play the deck. But anyway, essentially, you know, you retire a little bit, you become a Vanguard. She has a twin drive effect. It's just pretty cool. We obviously need that ride line again. So this is Blaster Dark. For that ride line, I picked the best art because, you know, why not pick the best art? So essentially you're just doing this for the ride because you just want to find it. So this is that guy. And then this is Dump Hood, but I've been having trouble getting him, so I'll just have it on the screen somewhere for the YouTube side of things. But essentially it's just your target to find Blaster Dark. But anyway, yeah, 6th grade 2s, guys. 6th grade 2s. The 6th grade 2 dream. Very awesome, very great. Let's go ahead and talk about our next witches. Now we're on a grade 1s. We have a lot of grade 1s to go through, so yeah, have fun. So this is Luba. This is one of the promos that we haven't been able to get for a while, but now we do have her. So her ability is reduced for each of your opponent's grade 0s, so you pretty much can't plus 2, put a grade 2 or greater unit, a normal unit from your drop zone to the bottom of your deck and draw cards. So she doesn't do anything too crazy, she just draws you cards while also sitting back. Anyway, essentially we want to send back this. We have one Bendy. This is again just for the superior ride. She is a witch. I do run one Abyssal Owl just because we do run the main in this deck since we can, and Abyssal is just an extra draw. You can counter blast, you can draw, Soul Blast if you want. Soul Blast is a little costly in this deck, but it's still just a way to just get more resources out. And then we have Donna, which this is the new promo. This is the one that I meant to talk about, and then I forgot. I thought it was this one, but they're both blue. So this is the one that says, when placed on Vanguard or Vanguard Circle, you choose a normal unit with Witch's card name from your drop, and you may put it to the bottom of your deck. And if you did not do that, your opponent mills 3 cards if they have 3 or less in their drop zone. So essentially, you can force them to mill 3 random cards. This is actually really interesting if your opponent happens to stack. Even early on, like if you're facing Battle Sisters and they happen to try and stack their deck a little bit, you can kind of ruin the stack just early on, mess up their whole thing. And then yeah, so that's pretty much her skill. She does have a secondary skill. She says if you have a card with Witch's card name, you can rest this unit. Your opponent chooses 2 grade 0s from their drop and calls them to regular circles with grade 1 or greater. So essentially she has the exact same skill as the 2 does, which is this one right here, that woman. So there's that. And then of course we run the main. The main is just really good. You just rest her, get a 5k. You can get this, you can get this, you get Dump Hood. I can't remember if there's anything else you can grab with this particular deck. I think it's mainly just, can she grab herself? Is she that busted? Oh my gosh, she can grab herself. You can grab herself. It's pretty much, the main part of this card is 1, she's a witch, and 2, you're constantly resting to grab something out of deck, and the deck doesn't draw that quickly. So actually, it's pretty nice to have this card. It's just an engine for plussing. You know, you rest this, you grab your Bendy, or later on you rest this, you grab Abyssal Owl, just anything, or you rest her, you grab another copy of herself, and it will give you access to 2 witches on the board, which then you can self-retire to then for the defensive approach from this girl. So it's just a nice little engine. It's like, why not run this card? And last but not least, is probably the weirdest thing, and if you want to change this, you totally can. I do run the Witch PGs, because I'm just insane. I just felt like going 12 crit. In a deck that says 4 drives, I decided why not just go 12 crit. So I actually put the PGs in. They are witches, funnily enough. They do have witch in their name, so you actually can use them in this deck specifically. But if you want, you instead of these, you can run more of the 5k grade 1s. You can probably experiment a little bit. I don't know if I have anything too spicy in here, but you can test around. You can run more grade 2s. Like I was running this card originally just for extra power. There really isn't too many good options to replace this with, but you definitely can just put in Abyssal Owls just to have Abyssal Owls in here, or any other 5ks that you think could be really good in this deck. So you can definitely replace these and put other grade 1s in, and then put the draw PGs in with the triggers. Sorry, I can't talk. So those are pretty much the grade 1s. I just realized this is so many grade 1s. This is 4, 5, 6, 10, 14, 20 grade 1s. Not enough grade 1s. Not enough grade 1s. I'm telling you, this is the best Shadow Paladin deck profile you'll see ever on YouTube. There is definitely no better possible deck profile that could be out there. Definitely not. last but not least, we got triggers. Obviously Heal Guardians are pretty OP, so you know, you want to Heal Guardians. You can change it up if you want to go like a little bit more vanilla, you can. I don't think there's any witch heals, as far as I know. I don't think there are any. If there aren't any, you can experiment with that. And oh my gosh, my super dark music for Genshin just came up, so we're just gonna vibe with that. But anyway, so yeah, you can run the heals, you can run more shield if you want, up to you. And then of course we have crits and crits and crits. A lot of crits here. So since we're running the grade 1 perfect guards as like this, you can obviously get away with 12 crits in this deck. Like I said, you can cut these back, make them drop PGs, and make these abyssal or anything else you find useful. If you want to up your consistency of seeing your ride target stuff, you can you know, like the superior ride, you can also not enough crits. No, definitely not enough crits. You can also up your consistency with that. You can run like bendy, like more bendies or whatever you're in the mood for. I just think usually for meme decks, I'll usually always go 12 crit just because I think it's hilarious. But also since this deck has a way to superior ride and do other stuff, and this has witch in its name, I thought it'd just be funny to just go like go the 12 crit route. But like I said, you can change it up, and I'm sure the other way is probably more optimal. But I thought this was funnier because, you know, 4 drive checks, crit for game, you just never know. And that's pretty much that. And then we have a starter. We have our starter. I picked the doggy starter. So I picked this starter. If you want to pick a different starter, have at it. And then for what is it, markers? I think Force 1. Oh, hi. She hasn't said Legion. I'm not gonna say Legion because you don't Legion. It's not actually a Legion. It's technically Legion. It's like quote unquote Legion. I believe Force 1 is definitely the best option in this deck. I don't think you ever want to go Force 2. This deck has a pretty bad power scaling issue, whereas nothing really gains too much power but the 2 Vanguards. And that's our little witch deck, guys. It's pretty budget friendly. I'm trying to think of what's expensive in this deck, and I really can't think of anything. Donna might be pricey depending on, you know, where you're located, if you're getting them online, or if you're getting them at the shops. If you're getting at the shops, they're free. But if you're not, yeah, true. Nemain might be a little pricey. Nemain might be your biggest. No, PBD should be pretty cheap. I got the fancy one because of how cheap it was. It's probably no. This was $6 when I bought this recently. It was literally $6. It might have changed since then. But regardless, I mean, you can always get this base rarity. I'm pretty sure we can double check, but base rarity, this shouldn't be too expensive. Nemain is still pretty pricey, so I think Nemain will probably be the biggest. So this will probably be your biggest wallet sinker, but honestly, like it's pretty cheap for the whole deck. Like I think she's $5 a pop, so she's 20 at max. These, depending on where you are, could be expensive, could be not. I think they're not that pricey online, but in case you get them in person, they're free. And then Abyssal Hour is pretty cheap. You don't need too many. Bendy's really cheap. These are really cheap. The triggers are obviously really cheap. PGs are really cheap. None of this is expensive. Dump Hood is like not even $2. He's like cents or something like that. So honestly, overall, this deck shouldn't cost you more than $40, like from my understanding, but unless Nemain has gone up or something has changed, triggers shouldn't be too bad. But at max this should be $50 because these also got reprinted, so these might be a little pricey, but they did get the reprint, so this should be pretty cheap. Overall, this deck shouldn't cost you too much if you want to go the budget route. So if you're just interested in trying a different deck, like have at it. You could tell me, you know, what your thoughts are about the deck if you've tried it, if you've played it. I can see if this deck gets more support, like just something else to kind of help it push. Like I can actually see this deck start to perform a little bit better. It definitely needs a little bit more help. It's not quite there yet. She's 10. Now my curiosity has struck. You have piqued my curiosity. Now we must find out. So let's check her out. Let's see how bad Nemain is. She shouldn't be terrible. Oh wow, I know I spelled Nemain. Welcome to the Peels crew, Peace Matt. Hope you're doing well. Well, we don't care about that, but yeah, she's $5. So this is around the price I bought her for. So this is pretty much where I got her. Here's the SVR. I bought this for a little bit cheaper. Wow, that's really funny. So the SVR is actually cheaper right now. Funnily enough, if you happen to pick this deck up, the SVR is somehow cheaper right now than the actual base rarity. You only really need 1 copy, and you're probably not going to damage it. So if you want to get to be extra safe, you could have at it, but you only really need 1. But yeah, this is kind of funny to look at. Oh, okay, they're not bad at all. So yeah, so honestly, this deck shouldn't cost you more than 50. If it costs you more than 50, this someone's ripping you off. That, or you're listening to this at a time where something skyrocketed, like Nemain or something. Anyway, going back. Like, subscribe, and do all that fun stuff. Say bye to the, let me find them. Say bye to the chat over here, the wonderful chat. And all that kind of fun stuff. And thank you, Derp, for redeeming this. I actually finally did this. Derp would not be proud. Derp's gonna look at this and go, "What is she doing? What is she saying? Ah! Why does she have 6 grade 2s? That's gonna be derp the whole time. By the way, bye YouTube. Bye YouTube. Hasta la vista. Peace out. До свидания. I'll see you guys in a future video. Bye! Hello YouTube? It's bye-bye YouTube. We're saying bye-bye to YouTube. Eric's very behind. Eric's on a different timeline right now. It's okay, Eric. You can be on a different timeline. It's fine. You can come back to this timeline whenever you feel like it.